Okay, it is 3 o'clock on Thursday, June 20th, and I, Adam Matamian, serving as the zoning administrator for the city of San Clemente, will call the zoning administrator meeting to order. The first item is to receive and file the minutes from the June 6th, 2024 zoning administrator meeting. I've reviewed those and have no changes, so I will receive and file those. The next item is oral and written communications. Are there any members of the public that are here to speak on something not on the zoning administrator agenda? Seeing nobody, I will move to the public hearings. The public hearing process includes a staff presentation, a presentation by the applicant not to exceed 10 minutes, and public testimony not to exceed 3 minutes per speaker. Following closure of the public hearing, the zoning administrator will respond to questions raised during the hearing, discuss the issues, and act upon the matter by motion. We have one public hearing today, and that is for public hearing project 24-171. Zach Ream is our project planner.
Thank you. Zach Ream, Senior Planner, presenting item 4A. That's the Anderson Residence remodel and addition at 111 Avenida Buenaventura. And not only is it public hearing project 24171, it's also a request for development permit DP 24180 and a minor exception permit MEP 24172. The project is to expand a non-conforming 1,120 square foot single-family residence with an addition approximately 714 square feet of living area, and to maintain a legal non-conforming one-car garage at the property. There's also a proposed 288 square foot roof deck, proposed new sidewalk, which would require the removal of a large street tree in the public right-of-way, and then replacement plantings of new trees and landscaping on the applicant's property. I'm going to jump right into the development permit and the MEP. A lot of text on the screen. I'm going to jump back in a minute to the staff report and show some photos. But the same zoning code section 17.72.050 requires a development permit to expand a small existing non-conforming home under 1,400 square feet to a maximum of 2,100 square feet, which this home would. So this home would comply with the limitations of that provision in the code that allows for an existing non-conforming small home to be maintained up to a maximum size of 2,100 square feet, because it's right now just under 1,400, and with the addition it would still be under 2,100. And then in addition to a development permit to allow the non-conforming home to be expanded, the minor exception permit relates to the parking. So in order to maintain an existing one-car garage, you need the development permit and the MEP. It's the same standards. The home has to now be smaller than 1,400 and expand to a maximum of 2,100. And you have to make a finding for the minor exception permit that it's necessary to maintain the character and integrity of the home and won't adversely affect neighboring properties. So in this case, the finding can be made because the home is on a pretty confined lot and the garage is already there, and to require a second parking space in the garage would be a bit of a hardship that would require a total reconfiguration of the site. So I'm going to just scroll through the staff report for a moment now. This was the photo in the staff report showing the garage, which is set back 14 feet instead of the 18 to 20 code requirement. And then the house is set back about 16 feet instead of the 20-foot code requirement. The proposed addition would be on the second level, and it would meet the setback requirements of 20 feet in the front and 4.5 feet on the sides. And then these are the same two issues that were discussed. The ability to repair, maintain, and expand an existing non-conforming home with a development permit, and then the minor exception permit for the garage. Then there's a few more issues that I'm going to run through that are relevant to the development permit but not the MEP. There's currently a few structures in the backyard. There's a spa, there's a non-conforming greenhouse that looks fairly old, and then there's a newer tough shed / office use. And on a lot of this size, you're only allowed one non-conforming accessory structure in the backyard. So the applicant has proposed to remove the greenhouse, relocate the spa into the new addition area, and then maintain the newer tough shed / office space. And then the other issue that's been going back and forth on this item for a while is the mature tree in the front public right-of-way area, where the applicant has proposed a sidewalk, and generally the code would require a sidewalk given the scope of the improvements over $50,000, but there isn't a lot of room in that area. It seems to fit both the mature tree and the sidewalk, so that is loosely a part of this application as part of the development permit, not the minor exception. The applicant prefers to install the sidewalk and offer the dedication, but ultimately the city manager and engineering staff would have to authorize removal of the existing street tree. The applicant's proposed a landscape plan that the zoning administrator may want to seek a little clarity on. My interpretation is it has 3 mature trees, which meets the spacing requirement, 1 per 25 square feet of frontage. Probably you'd only actually need 2. The applicant's proposed 3. And then there's like some smaller trees that are set back a little bit from the sidewalk that probably wouldn't be required by the code, but could be used as a replacement value for the lost mature tree. And then there's a slight increase in the amount of softscape coverage now, because right now most of the front yard is covered with hardscape and a non-conforming pergola, which should be removed. So I think those are the key issues. Oh, the last issue is there's a non-conforming fence and retaining wall, which I'm going to show in this picture. Here's the project location. I probably should have started with that. Southern part of town between the golf course and the freeway. This is a photo I took of the area that would be improved with a sidewalk. The neighbor doesn't have a sidewalk up here. The neighbor below, I don't think, has a sidewalk. 2 doors down, they do. Across the street's kind of a mishmash as well. And the property line is approximately right here where they're proposing front yard softscape improvements. And this fence right now is existing non-conforming overheight fence. So something like this would be more in keeping. I think that's the conclusion of the key issues in the staff report. I'm here for questions.
Okay. Would the applicant like to?
Yeah, I think
Presentation or any statements?
just a statement. Rob with Studio 6 Architects. Zach has done a great job putting everything together. There's not much to add. Just clarifying on the tree, we have I've had several conversations with Zach Ponzin Engineering. He's been out there, took a look at the tree as well. We provide a letter to Zach that ultimately will go to the city manager pending, what happens today. So just let you know that process, they have everything. Once, if you guys decide that the tree can be removed, then that process will move forward. And that's the only clarification I have.
Okay.
Here's a landscape plan.
Excellent. All right. Okay, then I will open this for public hearing comments from the public. Do we have any members of the public that would like to speak on this item? If you do we have you both filled out a speaker card?
I have that both.
Yeah. You don't? Okay. If you can just.
Change, but I have both to speak.
Okay. If you'd like to, you can make your comments now and just fill that out so that we have it for the record.
Okay,
once you're
so
done.
first fill it out and then speak.
No, if you want to speak now, just afterwards, you can just fill
Well,
it
I
out.
just want to say my name is Howard Fisher, and I live at 109 Avenue in Ventura. I'm the neighbor just west of Scott's house. And I'm in full support of the addition. I saw the plans yesterday, and they're just beautiful. We've talked about it for the last 2 years, maybe 3. We're all thrilled. And I wanted to say that I'm in support of taking that tree out. It's a beautiful tree, but it's a nuisance. There's 3 seasons of leaves falling down, sticks falling down from it, and then seeds or cones, which turn the gutter in the sidewalk, by the sidewalk in front of my house, turns it a rust color, and it's just a year-round, ordeal with that tree. And Scott is planning on putting in a different vegetation that will solve that problem for me. So.
Excellent. All right, thank you very much for your comments. And just to confirm, sir, you did not want to make any statements? You're okay. All right. All right. Couple questions. The first is about the existing nonconformity. The staff report indicates that there is a side yard setback of 3.5 feet where 4.5 feet is required.
3.5.
Looking at the pictures, looking at the plans submitted, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're talking about the eastern side of the house,
Right.
and the survey from RDM seems to show that the existing house is 4.2 feet. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay. So I just want to, I'll note it for the record so that the staff report is clarified through the minutes of this meeting, that that side yard setback is non-conforming by 0.3 feet.
Right.
Is that staff's understanding as well?
On the east, yeah, that does look like what the survey is showing. Staff based our analysis more on the architectural site plan on the next page, which shows the house kind of projecting over the 4.5 foot.
Okay.
required
Well, that was
setbacks.
the eve overhang.
Oh, that's the Evo.
It's the eve overhang. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll just clarify that in the minutes, that the existing nonconformity is 0.3 feet shy of the 4.5 foot required setback. So it's I'll say a very minimal encroachment at that. Okay, so that looks good. And then with that, I also just wanted to confirm the proposed addition, the second story addition, especially on that side of the building, that addition, all those walls, call it the, I'm going to avoid calling the screen a fence, but it's a screening,
You're talking the upper deck?
yeah, it's kind of like the blinds.
It's like louvers and that kind of
Louvers
stuff.
on a patio
Right.
covering
Exactly.
structure. Okay. All right. All right. So then the only other question I had, and it actually came up more in just staff's discussion here, is about the tree in the front. So there's a street tree because it's in the city's public right of way, and so the desire is clearly to remove that tree, correct? And you'd rather put in the sidewalk. Okay. So what are the limitations to getting that done? Is that
The city
is
manager.
both the city manager's approval required for? Will you be applying for a sidewalk waiver? Is that the
Well, if they want the tree to stay, we'll be applying for a sidewalk waiver.
which will include an easement until a sidewalk is
Right, so
provided
we,
in the future.
the goal is to remove the tree, then provide, remember it's the ADA sidewalk that goes in and goes up and around the driveway. We would propose we would do that, which means there's that easement because you're gonna be encroaching onto their property as that sidewalk wraps around. That's what we're proposing, we would like to do that, but in order to do that, we have to take the tree out.
Yes. Okay. So the desire is to remove the tree and install compliant sidewalks. So the city manager's approval is required to remove a street tree.
Yes. And the city manager must make a finding that it's damaging either a public utility or a public utility like electrical and sewer that connects to a private utility.
Okay.
There's a few other options, but that's the finding that engineering thought would be made, that the tree was damaging utilities. Or that it's diseased or injured. That doesn't seem to be the case.
All right, well, based on the picture that you showed, and I should disclose, I did drive by the site and I'm familiar with the area as well, but it does not appear that a sidewalk can be installed if a street tree is maintained. I'm trying to think if there's a way to kind of streamline all of this for you.
Appreciate that.
Let me look this up here. All right. So that section of code is not as clear as I'd like it to be. Let me review these conditions and see if there's a way to just trim this up a little bit. All right. What is the permit that you, or what have you submitted to the city engineering?
I haven't
As far
submitted
as-
anything, it was just talking with Zach, we submitted a letter. Asking that we remove the tree.
Okay, so I know a sidewalk waiver has a fee of $450, something in that neighborhood. Was there any fee discussed with this process?
No.
Okay.
They wanted the process to go through here first and then kind of go from there to the city manager.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm fine with the letter request to the city manager. I can communicate with him on getting that expedited to whatever we need. But I think I'll just have the minutes reflect that the zoning administrator is supportive of removing the tree in exchange for the benefit of installing a sidewalk. And as the neighbor indicated, the existing tree is one of a type of species that produces its own nuisance. So anything would be better than that. Additionally, the landscaping that is proposed is a vast improvement over what's there now, and I think the entire street frontage will benefit not only for the property owner but from all the neighbors as well. So I will close the public hearing with that, and thanks staff for their great report and very detailed information. So for the reasons listed in the record, specifically the resolution findings with regard to the addition to the existing non-conforming structure, that the project complies with the San Clemente General Plan. The addition complies with the development standards of the zoning ordinance, and the architectural treatment of the project complies with the architectural guidelines and the city's design guidelines, and with respect to the findings for the minor exception permit, being that the exception is necessary for the general appearance of the project being in character with the neighborhood, and that other properties will not be adversely affected as a result of this approval. I will move to first determine the project is categorically exempt from the requirements of CEQA pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15301 and 15303, and adopt resolution ZA 24-010 approving development permit 24-180 and minor exception permit 24-172, subject to the attached resolution and conditions of approval, with the additional statement recorded on the minutes that the zoning administrator approves of the removal of the street tree and replacement of in exchange for a sidewalk and additional landscaping in the front yard as well. So with that, that will conclude that item. I thank you both for your time, and I thank you for investing in your property and making your street look better. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
What's the appeal period of time?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. There is an appeal period. There's a 10-day public appeal period.
Is that 10 calendar or?
That's 10 calendar days.
Yeah.
And then there is an appeal period that ends at the when the minutes of this meeting are filed, received and filed by the city council. And actually, that's a good point. The next city council meeting is July 17th.
So we can't pull permits until July 17th?
Yeah. July 18th. Actually, it might be July 18th. They
Because usually
canceled
after the appeal, it doesn't have, you don't, if it runs out, that's the first I've heard of.
because
council
usually
meetings.
there's a city council meeting
Right.
about 10 days after a zoning administrator meeting. However, the city council canceled their July 2nd meeting. And their July 16th meeting is being, at their last city council meeting, they decided to move it to July 17th. So it would be July 18th would be the soonest that we can stamp final plans.
There's no way I can get started on anything prior to that.
You can keep working with building staff because you've got a plan check in for the building plan
Yeah, we've
check
got
that
one.
came in before the development part of the minor.
Yeah, they
exception.
have one correction that we've already taken care of regarding the tankless water heater. So we were going to submit everything back to them tomorrow, and that's it. Except for obviously the
The
sidewalk.
tree thing will probably take a week or so.
But that would be under a
Engineering.
separate permit.
Yeah, so are you looking to get cracking on demolition?
Yeah.
I moved out a month ago. I'm in a
Yeah, they want
rental.
to start ripping into it, and I mean, there's a lot of
Because
things
it's going
they
to
can-
take a few days. It's going to take a couple days to do the demo, and so here's what I'll say. Why don't we talk with Robert Ferguson? He's out. He'll be back next week.
He's an inspector.
No, he's the building official now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So why don't we talk with him about getting you a permit so that you can start doing the things that don't require the development permit or the minor exception
Yeah,
permit,
that'd be great.
right? So you can start doing the stuff that you'd be able to do with
No matter
just a
what.
building permit. Yeah.
And we'll make sure that everything on our side, I know you flagged some planning corrections, but it's because of the meeting.
Right, I can sign off on the building permit application you have aside from anything associated with the MEP.
Right. Okay, well,
Yeah. I'm sure we can put together
I appreciate
a
that.
plan so that
that way they get going.
a phase so that we get the project started.
Okay.
Yeah, get that going.
Adam, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Of course, Rob, it's great to see you again.
Nice seeing you.
All right, I will close out this meeting
Thanks,
as
Zach.
we
Appreciate
have
it.
Thank you, Zach.
no new business, no old business, and so I will adjourn this meeting to the next regular meeting of the zoning administrator to be held at 3 p.m. on Thursday, July 18th.